Hey, everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. You ready to get right to it?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so today we're tackling something I think everyone listening has struggled with at some point. We're diving into the idea of making sacrifices in relationships. The kind of sacrifices where you don't completely lose yourself.
Yeah, it's something that comes up all the time, and the source we've got goes deep on it.
Totally. So to kick things off, this whole concept of setting boundaries really jumped out at me because I feel like we hear set boundaries everywhere, but this source actually breaks down how to do it.
Right, because it's one thing to say it, but when you're in it, things can get complicated fast. What I found interesting was how the source stressed knowing yourself first. Like, even before you bring your partner into it, you have to figure out what matters most to you, where your limits are.
Yes, 100%.
Hmm.
It's like that time I agreed to go camping with my partner, even though I can't stand bugs. And I mean, it ended up being fun, but it definitely made me realize I need to speak up about things that make me truly uncomfortable.
There you go. And once you know those things for yourself, then it becomes about talking to your partner. Not just stating a boundary, but actually explaining why it's a big deal to you.
So we got these boundaries, but how do we make sure both people are getting their needs met within those boundaries? That's the real balancing act, right?
Absolutely. The source called it finding that sweet spot where both your needs and the relationship's needs are being taken care of. And it's not always going to be a perfectly split 50-50. It's more about what feels doable for both of you long term.
So not keeping score, but making sure nobody's being completely drained either.
Exactly. Imagine a garden, you wouldn't just water one plant and ignore the other, right? You've got to nurture both for them to thrive.
I love that analogy. And it reminds me of something else the source talked about, communication.
Mhm.
Because if it constantly feels like you're the one doing all the giving, that's something you've got to talk about.
So important. Holding things in just leads to resentment. It's about creating that safe space to talk honestly about what you need, what you're worried about without feeling judged.
Right on point,
Yeah.
but also not forgetting to celebrate what makes each of you you. Because we're not trying to become one big codependent blob.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that's where the next part comes in, celebrating individuality. The source was really big on the idea that having your own hobbies, interests, friends outside the relationship is so healthy. It's about honoring who you both are as individuals and bringing those full selves to the relationship.
Reading that, I had a bit of an aha moment because I realized I'd stopped doing a lot of things I loved just because I was so caught up in my relationship. It's so easy to lose sight of yourself when you're building a life with someone else.
It happens.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to be aware of it.
So true. Okay, and last but not least, the source made this point that really hit home for me, reevaluating sacrifices. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this one stuck with me too. Basically, what might have been okay to sacrifice a year ago might not work now. Relationships change, people change, and what felt manageable before might feel unfair or draining later on.
So it's not about setting things in stone and never revisiting them. It's about checking in with yourself and your partner to make sure things are still feeling good.
Exactly. And those regular check ins can be super helpful. Just asking, are these sacrifices still working for us? Are we both actually happy with how things are?
Seriously, so much to think about. We covered a ton. Setting boundaries, balancing needs, communicating honestly, celebrating our individuality, A&D, reevaluating sacrifices. It's a lot, but these all work together, don't they?
For sure. It's all connected.
Great.
Finding that balance between giving and growing.
So as you're thinking about all this, what resonates with you the most right now? Maybe you're great at setting boundaries, but struggle with asking for what you need. Or maybe you're killing it at staying true to yourself, but haven't checked in about sacrifices in a while. Wherever you're at, I hope this deep dive gave you some things to consider.
Me too. It's all about those little steps towards healthier, happier relationships.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for diving in with us, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.
See you next